If you're black, this message is for you, but they don't want you to hear it. Right now, as you're watching this, they're counting on your distraction. They want you to be too tired, too stressed, too entertained. Because if you ever stopped scrolling long enough to look behind the curtain, you'd see the truth they've buried for centuries. While you binge Netflix, they erase your ancestors. While you argue about celebrities, they rewrite your history books. While you chase trends, they ensure you never ask real questions, and the scariest part is, you were never supposed to wake up. This video might get deleted, shadow banned, flagged, or buried in silence. But if you see it, watch until the end. It could wake you up. Because once you know what's happening, there's no going back. They don't need to kill your body anymore. They kill your focus. They don't need to chain your hands. They chain your mind. The real war isn't with guns anymore. It's with your attention. This is psychological warfare, a spiritual ambush, a silent system that is built to keep you scrolling while your story is stolen. And if you don't wake up now, you may never get the chance, so listen closely. This isn't a conspiracy, it's a coded message for the chosen. And if you're watching, you're. During the days of our ancestors, they used whips. Today, they have Wi-Fi. They don't need overseers, they have algorithms. Welcome to the digital plantation and a new kind of slavery where the chains are invisible, but the control is absolute. We wake up and reach for the screen before we brush our teeth. We scroll for hours, laughing, liking, and sharing, but never building, never healing, never questioning. This is intentional. Because the war isn't on your body anymore, it's to your attention. The black mind is the most powerful force on this planet, but if they can distract it, weaken it, and own it, they never have to fear it. Let's talk about facts. Black teens spend 7 to 10 hours per day consuming media, more than any other group. Most of that content is designed to feed violence, hypersexuality, and chaos back into the culture. Black children are 3 times more likely to be exposed to trauma on social media than white children. And while screen time rises, literacy level depreciates. In some U.S. cities, over 80% of black boys in the 4th grade can't read at grade level. But hey, we all know the latest TikTok dance. We'll watch a video of black girls twerking, but ignore a flyer about black girls going missing. We'll debate Will Smith versus Chris Rock, but not say a word about policies destroying black communities from the inside out. They flood our feeds with nonsense, drama, distractions, false idols, and fake goals. Why? Because if you're entertained, you won't be educated. And if you're not educated, you can be controlled. Every swipe, every click, every second you spend with this system is data, and that data is used for psychological warfare. They study us. They learn what makes us laugh, cry, rage, and lust. Then they serve it back to us in infinite scroll form to keep us stuck in a cycle. And while we're being fed lies, they're replacing us. AI is stealing jobs that once gave black people a path out of poverty. But who's training black kids in tech? Who's giving them access to own the future? They tell you to become a rapper, not a coder. They reward ignorance with virality, and they shadow ban intelligence with silence. This isn't out of the blue. It's a digital form of population control. Because they know if we ever stop chasing clout, if we ever stop glorifying trauma, if we ever unplug from this circus and look inward, we will remember who we are. And once we do that, the system collapses. See, you're not just being distracted, you're being drugged, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Your entire feed is designed to keep you numb. Because if you were ever fully conscious, you'd be dangerous. You'd be unstoppable. So ask yourself, why is foolishness always trending, but our liberation never is? Why is your phone filled with filters, but your mind left unfiltered? And why are we being fed everything but the truth? Here's what you need to know. They want your mind, because once they have that, they have everything. So the question is, are you still scrolling, or are you finally seeing? They want you to forget who you are, because if you knew, you'd be unstoppable. So they buried your past, not just under dirt, but under lies. not just in chains, but in classrooms. And not just by guns, but by silence. From the moment you enter school, you're told your story starts with chains, that you were nothing before slavery, that your ancestors were savages, and Africa was dark, uncivilized, and primitive. But here's what they don't teach you. Before Europe even existed as a civilization, your ancestors were building empires that made the world shiver. Let's go back to the Mali Empire, where Mansa Musa ruled as the wealthiest human being to ever walk the earth. His gold possession was endless, his power was respected, and his influence was global. To the kingdom of Kush and Nubia, where black royalty built pyramids, mastered astronomy, and traded across the ancient world. These weren't tribes running barefoot through the jungle. These were nations with art, politics, mathematics, and medicine. And guess what? They were all black. But they won't tell you that, because if they told you your roots were royalty, you wouldn't accept life as a slave. They replaced your kings and queens with chains and ships, but even then, the resistance never stopped. They teach you about obedient slaves, but not about Denmark Vesey, who organized a massive slave rebellion in Charleston. Not about Nat Turner, who sparked terror in slave owners by refusing to be silent. Not about Queen Nzinga, who led armies against the Portuguese for decades, refusing to kneel to colonizers. They don't want you to know about Robert F. Williams, who trained black communities to defend themselves with arms before the Black Panthers. Why? Because they want you to be passive, not powerful. And even after slavery ended, the genocide continued quietly, methodically, and deliberately. Did they tell you about Tulsa, Oklahoma, in 1921? A thriving black city that was called Black Wall Street. Doctors, lawyers, business owners, and families were burned to the ground by angry white mobs, aided by the government. Over 300 black men, women, and children were murdered. No justice, and Tulsa wasn't alone. There was the Colfax Massacre in Louisiana, where over 100 black men were slaughtered in cold blood for trying to vote. Rosewood, a prosperous black town in Florida that was wiped off the map in 1923. Ocoee, Election Day, 1920. Black voters were killed and driven from their homes. East Street, Louis, 1917. When hundreds of black workers were murdered in a racial cleansing. These weren't riots, these were massacres, these were acts of war against black progress. But if they taught you that, you might start asking questions. You might start demanding reparations. You might start organizing so they stay silent. But it doesn't end with murder. They've even stolen our ideas. Black inventors gave the world the traffic light, blood transfusion technology, the gas mask, the elevator system, the home security system, amongst many other innovative technological solutions. But how often are they mentioned? George Washington Carver created hundreds of plant-based products that helped transform agriculture. Benjamin Banneker helped map out Washington, D.C., and Dr. Patricia Bath revolutionized eye surgery. But their names have been scrubbed from the spotlight. They let you believe black genius is rare when it's been suppressed all along. And let's not forget spiritual knowledge, from the Dogon people who mapped star systems without telescopes, to the ancient Kemetic sciences that shaped Greek philosophy, to African drumming patterns that gave birth to jazz, blues, hip-hop, and rock. Your culture, your science, your soul, all stolen, rebranded, and sold back to you under someone else's name. So when you look in the mirror and wonder why your self-worth feels stolen, remember, it was. But here's the thing. You are not the descendants of slaves. You are the descendant of survivors, of architects, of rebels, of mathematicians, of warriors, and queens. They worked hard to make you forget, to replace your glory with shame, and to sell you lies and call it education. But the truth is still alive, waiting to be reclaimed. You'll never settle for what they told you once you truly know who you are. They say the system is broken. It just needs fixing. The system isn't broken. The truth is, it's working exactly as it was designed. From the moment black bodies were dragged into this country, everything from education to economics to policing was designed to control, contain, and crush black life. They put our children in buildings with no funding, no counselors, no updated books, no hope. But they do have metal detectors. They do have security guards. They do have cops in the hallways. From the age of 5, black children, especially males, are more likely to be suspended, expelled, or labeled as aggressive. By high school, many are already being funneled into juvenile systems. In some districts, there are more police officers in schools than teachers. That's not education. That's pre-incarceration. It's not an accident. It's a pipeline, from the classroom to the cell block, and it's paved with racism, poverty, and silence. From slave patrols to modern policing, the badge has always been a tool of control. You've heard about George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Tamir Rice, Sandra Bland, and Eric Garner. But there are thousands more whose names never made the news, whose lives were stolen by a system that is trained to inflict fear on black skin and protect white power. And it goes deeper. In the 1960s, the FBI created COINTELPRO. This was a secret program that was aimed at dismantling black organizations. They spied on, infiltrated, and destroyed movements like the Black Panthers, Malcolm X's network, and even Martin Luther King Jr. Their mission was clear: prevent the rise of a black messiah. And in the digital age, they've just upgraded their tools. Facial recognition software misidentifies black faces 10 to 100 times more than white faces. Social media is used to surveil protests. AI and predictive policing target black neighborhoods without evidence. This isn't safety, it's a high-tech plantation. They never gave us a fair start, and they never intended to. After slavery, we were promised 40 acres and a mule. We got nothing. Instead, they gave us sharecropping, a scam that kept us poor and tied to white landowners. Then came redlining, a federal policy that made it illegal for black families to get home loans in white neighborhoods. Whole black communities were denied wealth for generations, and that gap never closed. Today, the average black family has 1/10 the wealth of the average white family. Not because we're lazy, but because they rigged the game. Even when we try to build, they tear it down. Just ask Tulsa, Rosewood, and Wilmington. Some banks charge us higher interest. Employers reject names that sound black. Black businesses get less funding and fewer opportunities, even when they outperform. We've been surviving in an economy that was designed to exclude us. It's not just our wallets, they've come for our minds. From birth, we're bombarded with messages that whiteness is beauty, and blackness is not. Skin-bleaching creams, relaxers, and weaves flood the African markets. Dark skin is demonized, while light skin is praised. TV shows cast us as criminals, maids, sidekicks, or clowns. Music labels push violence, hypersexuality, and trauma. Not healing, not history, nor unity. They sell us our oppression, and we consume it like entertainment. This is cultural colonization and a silent invasion of the mind. And the most dangerous part is that we start to believe it. We turn on each other, and we hate our skin, our hair, and our reflection. They built these systems with precision to strip you of power, then blame you for being powerless. So no. The system isn't broken. It was built to break you. But here's the twist. Once you see it, you can fight it. Once you name it, you can dismantle it. And once you understand it, you can rise above it, because the most dangerous black person in the world is the one who's fully awake. And that's what they fear most. They fear your blackness because of where it comes from. Not because it's violent, not because it's dangerous, but because it's divine. You don't descend from nothing. You come from everything, before the chains, before the ships, before the lies. You were kings, queens, healers, builders, astronomers, and warriors. You built nations when the rest of the world still lived in shadows. Let's take it back. The Dogon people of West Africa mapped entire star systems, including Sirius B, centuries before Europeans even had telescopes. How? Because they understood the language of the cosmos. In Kemet, modern-day Egypt, black architects constructed pyramids so precisely that modern science still struggles to explain them. They aligned monuments with the stars, engineered irrigation systems, and practiced complex medicine with herbs, surgery, and spiritual balance. In Timbuktu, African scholars filled libraries with knowledge, law, science, math, and history, while much of Europe still burned women as witches. In Ethiopia, churches were carved into mountains. In Benin, bronze sculptures reached artistic heights that stunned colonizers. But what did they tell you? That Africa was dark, savage, and backward? No. It was brilliant. And they feared its brilliance, so they tried to erase it. But even in chains, that power never died. Enslaved Africans brought more than muscle to the Americas. They brought memories. They hid messages in spirituals like wade in the water, warning others how to escape. They used quilts with encoded maps. They spoke in patois, Yoruba, Twi, Creole, and lacing resistance into rhythm. They fought with fire in their hearts, not just to survive, but to preserve you. You are not the product of slavery, you are the result of resistance. Every time we've been beaten down, we've risen stronger. There was Marcus Garvey, who preached Pan-African unity and economic self-determination. He built one of the largest black movements in history, the Universal Negro Improvement Association, and dared to say, Africa for the Africans. There was the Black Panther Party, born in Oakland, raised on revolution. They fed children, educated communities, and patrolled the police, all while under constant attack by the U.S. government. There were leaders like Kwame Nkrumah, Thomas Sankara, and Patrice Lumumba, who fought for a united Africa, free from colonial shackles. There were warriors like Assata Shakur, Malcolm X, and Fred Hampton, who told us, "Freedom ain't free," and gave everything for the cause. This is your bloodline. You weren't meant to bow. You were born to lead. But the system knows something you might not. If you ever wake up to who you truly are, they can't stop you. So they bury your power under distractions. They make your greatness look like a threat. They tell you to hate your skin, your hair, and your name, because if you ever loved it, if you ever embraced it, you'd tear the whole system down. Your melanin is more than skin. It's a memory, it's magic, it's a legacy, and it's a voice. So remember this. You are the dream of your ancestors. You are the echo of empires. You are the power they never wanted you to reclaim. But now you know. That changes everything. Above slavery, the greatest trick ever pulled on the black community was division. Not with chains you can see, but psychological ones. Invisible ropes wrapped around pride, color, class, and culture. Colorism, classism, and tribalism were weapons they planted within us to keep us from ever standing together. It starts with colorism, a poison passed down from plantations. Light skin versus dark skin. Good hair versus nappy hair. As if your resemblance to whiteness somehow makes you better. This mindset wasn't programmed in us at birth. Colonial masters taught us to hate ourselves by ranking our worth on a color scale. They told us lighter meant cleaner, smarter, and safer. And that lie still lingers in our music, our movies, our dating choices, even our job interviews. But remember this: all black is beautiful. Light, dark, mixed, melanin-rich. We are one people. Then comes classism. They whisper, "You made it. You're different." And suddenly the black man with a suit avoids the brother in the hoodie. The sister in the boardroom looks down on the girl working 2 jobs. But success should unite us, not divide us. Just because you escaped the trap doesn't mean the trap isn't still real. Individual success doesn't free the collective. They give a few of us crumbs so we won't burn the bakery. Then there's tribalism. African versus African American. Caribbean versus continental. Nigerian versus Ghanaian. They pit our cultures against each other like crabs in a barrel. We laugh at accents, we mock traditions, we argue over who suffered more, instead of realizing we've all been targeted. Same system, different continents, same pain. Colonial powers drew lines through Africa, slavers shipped us across oceans, but their biggest success was convincing us that we're not one people. Even in culture, they divide to conquer. The media pumps out images of gangsters, drug dealers, hypersexualized women, and black-on-black violence over and over. But where are the engineers, the healers, and the revolutionaries? They hide those stories and amplify destruction. Why? Because a divided black mind is easy to manipulate. They celebrate artists who push greed, violence, and lust, but silence those who speak of unity, knowledge, and truth. Have you ever wondered why they banned Marcus Garvey but celebrated rappers with million-dollar chains? Think about it for a bit. Hopefully, you should be seeing a clearer picture by now. Our economy is also divided. We question black businesses more than we question corporations. We demand discounts on our own, but pay full price to those who never valued us. We doubt black leaders, ridicule movements, and argue about who's real, while the enemy watches and laughs. It's all part of the plan. To keep us busy fighting each other, so we never fight the system. That's how the oppressor survives, by planting distrust in every corner of the black experience. The truth is, you are not each other's enemy. The real enemy is the system that made you think so. The only thing more powerful than a conscious black person is a united black people. So stop looking at your brother with a side eye. Stop mocking your sister's journey, and stop feeding the system the division it craves. Because once we link arms across skin tones, classes, flags, and borders, we become unstoppable. And that's the day they fear the most. Waking up is not a moment, it's a mission. It's not enough to know the truth. You have to live it, build with it, and spread it. Because the chains that bind us now aren't made of iron. They're made of silence, of forgetfulness and distraction. The real revolution begins in the mind. Unlearn their lies. Relearn your truth. Start with books they don't want you to read. The Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson. How Europe Underdeveloped Africa by Walter Rodney. Message to the Black Man by Elijah Muhammad. The Autobiography of Malcolm X and Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams. Connect with African spirituality. Not religion used to enslave you, but the ancestral wisdom they buried. Knowledge is your weapon. Acquire it and use it. Stop begging for a seat at their table. Build your own. Support black-owned businesses. Circulate the dollar within your community. Learn how money works, investing, saving, and ownership. Buy land, learn credit, and build a legacy. Every dollar you spend is a vote. Are you voting for your freedom or your oppressor? No one is coming to save us, but we can save each other. Mentor the youth, protect our women, guide the next generation. Restore our culture through music, language, tradition, and family. Create safe spaces where we can heal, learn, and grow. Rebuild the village, because without community, we are exposed. Don't live just for now. Live for what comes after you. What are you leaving behind? What will your children inherit? Trauma or transformation? Legacy isn't just money. It's a mindset. It's history. It's a system. It's freedom passed down like family recipes. You are not here just to survive. You're here to build for the next 100 years. Don't just scroll, speak. Don't just consume, create. Don't just watch, challenge. They use the internet to distract us. We must use it to awaken us. Start a podcast, launch a blog, share black truths, expose lies, educate others. And when you see the truth, amplify it. Every post matters. Every share is a spark. This isn't about going viral. It's about going eternal. Because in the end, waking up isn't the finish line. It's the beginning. The beginning of building a future they said we'd never reach. A future where black minds are free, black families are strong, and black children never have to search for their identity again. So ask yourself, are you just awake? Or are you building something worth waking up for? You were never meant to see this video, not in the algorithm, but here you are, watching to the end. That's divine, and it's only the first step. You can scroll past it. Act like you never heard this. Pretend you didn't feel something shift inside you, or Pause, breathe, say enough is enough, because this system is built on your silence and profits from your pain. But the moment you remember who you are, it begins to fall apart. They tried to bury us, but they didn't know. We were seeds,